Hello everyone! If you enjoy this video, please leave a like and comment what type of content you would like to see next time. Also, only a small percentage of people that watch my videos are actually subscribed, so if you end up liking the video, consider subscribing. Check out the Patreon in the video description for some extra steamy content. Enjoy the video!
Hey guys, this is part 2 of the doll story, so if you haven't checked out the first one, I linked it in the description. Enjoy the story. I always hated the heat, especially when I had to work double or triple time to meet my deadlines. Yes, it's true that by now all of the offices were air conditioned, but the heat on the street was unbearable. At least it always seemed that way to me in Austin, Texas, the city where I grew up and where I still found myself working. This was to change forever in the middle of that curious year, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Here's how I changed careers, from a simple office worker to a model. In June of that year, we had a lot of work to do. The late spring heat was so overwhelming that I felt like I was in the middle of August in some Caribbean country. However, I couldn't just go to the beach and jump into the sea, but had to work overtime to meet the group targets of my department in the company. This was even more difficult because I was the most experienced and therefore the leader of my unit. I had never had so much responsibility before. Never before had I had to coordinate and review so many digital documents and make sure that the presentations were acceptable. As luck would have it, the young people assigned to me as subordinates were diligent and competent. In fact, they were so competent that we received a special commendation from the company's board of directors and a salary increase. This was going to allow me to take a little vacation at the beach that was not originally in my plans. My vacation would start the very next day. I was feeling good about myself and invited my colleagues to a restaurant for lunch so we could celebrate together. It was a phone call in the middle of that celebration that would change my work life forever. I was eating French fries and drinking some soda when a cell phone rang. It was Kylie. She hadn't called me in months. Suddenly, the whole photo shoot we had done together came to mind. I remembered the pink dress with the adorable bows, the blonde wig, and the makeup too. I picked up the phone. "Hi Kylie, how are you?" I said to the watchful eyes of my subordinates. A couple of the girls giggled. I'm sure they thought Kylie was some girlfriend of mine. I had to stand up and go out to the restaurant patio to talk more freely. I asked Kylie how she was doing. She said fine, and that she had great news for me. What she told me blew my mind. The doll photos had been a huge success for the company that hired her as a photographer. At that very moment, I was struck by the realization that I had never asked her what the company or project the photos were for. I asked her, and she told me that it was a clothing company that made outlandish but fun outfits for women, although the intention was now to make outfits for men as well. I asked her if by any chance she needed me to model for the male outfits this time. However, she confirmed that they already had a male model. Kylie and her employer needed me to be a girl doll again. As I spoke, I could see through the open patio door that my subordinates were whispering to each other about my conversation. It sent a chill through my spine just to think what they, and the rest of my company, would say if they knew I had posed as a doll, makeup, and all. Even if they liked that side of me, I don't know how I could ever go back to work at the same place ever again. In the midst of these thoughts, I didn't realize that Kylie was asking me for confirmation. Was I, or wasn't I going to work for her and her company? She assured me that the pay would be even better than my current job, and that they needed me for a week anyway. I replied that I would think about it, and I would call her in the evening. I went back to our table, and we finished eating. I had to pay the whole bill. It had been much more expensive than I had anticipated. My colleagues offered to share the cost, but I refused. It didn't matter anyway, because not only was I going to cancel my beach vacation, but I was going to earn extra income as a model. Yes, By the time I had finished eating, I had decided to accept Kylie's offer. That same night, I called her, and the next day, I packed my things and took a plane to Los Angeles. The tickets were covered by Kylie's employer. When I arrived in LA, Kylie picked me up in her white Tesla. We gave each other a big hug. In the car, we were talking about our respective jobs over the past few months. We drove to her house first. I dropped off my belongings there. The company was going to assign me a hotel room, but first I had to go meet Samantha, who was in charge of the doll photo project. We drove up to my next employer's building. It was a big white cube. No way you could think it had anything to do with making clothes, let alone colorful clothes like a doll's outfit. I saw that the name of the company was Williams Textile Industries, after the company's founder. I got out of the Tesla. Stepping onto the street, I could feel the heat of California in early July. However, being here near the beautiful beaches, I didn't have such a bad time. I didn't feel bad at all. I was quite happy. Or maybe it was my enthusiasm to feel beautiful again dressed as a girl. We entered the building. Several men greeted Kylie politely. She was a very pretty girl. I wasn't surprised that she was very popular with the guys. We rode the elevator up to the 8th floor. We made our way to a door that had a gold plaque with the name Samantha Williams on it. Samantha was a descendant of the company's founder, and unlike her brothers, had decided to go into the textile industry. We knocked on the front door and passed through after a few seconds. "Hello, Samantha. My name is..." I said my full name. I was used to formality. "Please don't call me that. Call me Sam." "It's nice to meet you." Sam was a very pretty woman with lots of character. She had managed to rise to an important position of power, despite the efforts of others to push her aside. Her brown hair was well groomed, and her green eyes were dazzling. If I were a little less shy, I would have jokingly told her that she was the one who had to play the doll, and not me. We talked between the three of us, Kylie and Sam and I, about the new project. Sam told me that there was no way I was going to spread the word that I was a doll in the collection. The public thought it was a woman. She even told me that the LA press was wondering about my identity. I almost fainted at that thought. It seemed incredible to me to think that people in LA were in awe of my female image. I agreed that I wasn't going to say anything. Not that I felt like revealing that I had ever dressed as a doll, nor that I had appeared dressed like that in the magazines or even on the internet. We agreed on my salary. Sam intended for me to sign a formal contract, mainly so that I could be insured in case of any legal issues. She also asked me to choose a stage name. The idea was that no one would know that I was a boy, so the three of us agreed that, for the purpose of the photo shoots, I would be called Sonia, without a last name for the time being. So in addition to my real name, I was formally listed as the model Sonia. When Sam read the contract, it was strange to hear that name out loud, and understand that it was associated with me. I left the office with Kylie. In the elevator, I wondered if anyone would recognize me as a doll. That's the last thing I wanted. We went to lunch, and it was there that Kylie offered me to go to her house and help me dress as a woman. I asked what she wanted me to dress up as a woman for. She told me it would be weird for a male to walk in and out of the photo shoot. I replied that they might think I was the male model. She said, "No, the actual male model is too big and tall. Plus, he's well known in our scene. Besides, you better get used to look and act like a woman." We arrived at her building and went up to her apartment. It was huge. It had 2 large bathrooms and 5 furnished bedrooms. All that for one person. I complimented Kylie on her nice place. It was there that she asked me if I wanted to stay in her apartment instead of the hotel room. It would be more comfortable for her if she needed to try on or modify something regarding my outfit. Also, it would be more comfortable for me if I was close to someone I knew, considering that I didn't know Los Angeles as well as I knew Austin. I agreed. She called the company and asked them to cancel the hotel reservation, so I didn't have to grab my heavy luggage to move it, thankfully. Kylie told me to go to the bathroom to change. Surely she didn't have any dresses or shoes that would fit me. I reminded her that my pink doll shoes had been too tight at our first photo shoot. However, she told me that this time she had made sure that my clothes and shoes were my size. I tried on a beautiful red dress that came to my knees and high-heeled shoes that matched perfectly. Kylie handed me long nylon stockings to cover my legs. They felt very comfortable. Since my first photo shoot, I had gotten used to shaving my legs. Of course, no one at work knew about this. Once I was dressed up as a girl, the makeup phase began. Like last time, Kylie plucked my eyebrows with tweezers. She lined my eyelashes with mascara and put a lot of blush on my cheeks. She decided to use a deep red lipstick to match my lips to the color of my dress. Finally, she put a hairnet in my hair and put on an auburn wig. It reached below my shoulders, but was not as long as Kylie's hair. She was eager to get out of the house for coffee, but promised me that next time she was going to paint my nails, although I never said anything to her about it. It was her idea. She lent me a purse that looked quite luxurious. She told me that it would be strange to see a woman on the street without a purse, especially if she was dressed as elegantly as I was. We went to a fancy coffee shop. It was a good thing Kylie invited me for coffee, because it was sure too expensive for my wallet. The waiter who served us was very handsome and had a very seductive timbre to his voice. When he asked me what I wanted to drink, I got nervous and almost spoke in my male voice. Luckily, I restrained myself and put on a very little soft voice to say, "Latte macchiato, please." Kylie asked for the same thing. I noticed she was smiling as she spoke, so I did the same when the waiter looked back at me to ask if I wanted anything else. "No, thank you," I said, soft-spoken, looking him in the eye and smiling. When he left, Kylie and I laughed together. Inside my purse was a small mirror. I opened it and looked at the soft eyeshadow I was wearing that softened my entire eye area. I really looked like a woman. The waiter returned with the coffee cups. I thanked him with a smile. My woman's voice was getting better and better. I took the coffee cup, and surprisingly, Kylie corrected me. "Sonia, you need to start thinking and acting like a woman. You can't just grab a cup so roughly. You have to hold it delicately with one hand, with your little finger to the side." She showed me how to do it. I giggled as I imitated her. This was kind of fun. I sipped the latte. It was better than any coffee I had ever tasted before. Some minutes later, I noticed that my lipstick had worn off a bit. I got up from the table and grabbed my purse. For a moment, I didn't know which bathroom to go into, the men's or the women's. I chose the latter. First, because it would be weird if a person wearing a red dress went into the men's room, but also so as not to raise suspicion about my true identity. I looked in my purse and took out the red lipstick. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror and delicately touched up my lips. It was the first time in my life where I felt like I was actually acting like a woman. I felt much more confident about the photo project compared to how I felt when I got on the plane in Austin. I put the lipstick away in my purse and realized that my cell phone was vibrating. I opened it and found a message from Gloria, my brightest and most dedicated subordinate. She was telling me that they missed me at the office and hoped I was having a great time. "Aw, that's so sweet." I replied that I was doing great. Of course, I tried not to say one word too many. I didn't want to give away my true situation. I put my cell phone away, and then I washed my hands thoroughly. Finally, I went back to sit at the table with Kylie. Kylie looked at me and pointed out that I had gone a little overboard with the lipstick. I looked in my little hand mirror, and she was right. There was a bit of lipstick just below my nose. Embarrassed, I grabbed a napkin and quickly wiped it off. It seemed that I was going to have a hard time being a woman. Even more so being a cute, girly doll. I would have preferred to be the male doll, to be honest. It was at this point that I started to wonder what I was supposed to do with the male model. I asked Kylie, who looked at me with mischievous eyes. I don't know exactly. But don't worry, something tells me you're going to have a good time. I can sense it. I frowned. I could only hope that the money I had been offered was worth the risk of someone recognizing me, or that something would go wrong and I wouldn't have a good time during the photo shoot. But for now, I prefer to dismiss negative thoughts. As I sipped my coffee, I grabbed my mirror to observe how well I looked with my makeup, how well my wig hair and red lips matched. I really felt and looked good. Nothing could go wrong with me if I looked so pretty, or so I hoped. This is how my life as a female model began. Thank you for listening. Please let me know in the comments if you would like to see a part 3.